Hey everybody, welcome back to another D&D Beyond dev update. I'm Joe, I'm your host, joined by Mellie Doucette, my not even co-host, the actual host, and much more important person, the backbone, the soul of this entire organization. What is this show? I'll back you up even further. What's D&D Beyond? Here at D&D Beyond, we believe that D&D is for everyone and that all possible barriers of entry should be removed from playing. So we developed a digital tool set that makes jumping in and playing the game easy as hell, basically. That's my elevator sales pitch. Free to register. Go check it out. What's the D&D Beyond dev update? This is where we get on. We tell you what's going on with the tool set. We connect you with a lot of cool guests, our coders, our engineers, to actually really get into the nitty gritty with you guys, show off new stuff, and answer your questions about what's coming up. Their answers are always pretty cool, and they're always usually pretty willing to field some zingers. So get your questions in there. Melody Doucette, how do they do that?
They just go right into the chat and they put the word question and then they write their question and it'll pop into our little question monodrone and we will answer as many as we can today.
Yes, it's and hey, if it's your first time here, welcome. We're super glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Because we also have a pretty cool show for you today. It's a pretty packed one. We're going to check in with our roadmap. Then we're going to get a demo into containers in inventory, which is live right now. So we're going to show that off. Super excited about that. Pat and Sam Hilson will be coming in to demo that, and then they're going to be taking your questions. It's going to be a super good time. Hey, Melly, let's jump into the
Do
roadmap
it.
because
Tell me, there's
we
so
got
many things to talk about.
so many things. Well, first of all, we have 3 books available for pre-order on the D&D Beyond marketplace right now. The Wild Beyond the Witchlight is available for pre-order. Pre-order perks will be revealed for that book soon. That's 5e's first adventure into the world of the Feywild. So super stoked about that. Strixhaven or Curriculum of Chaos also available for pre-order. Hey, you want to go to magic school? Strixhaven's how you go to a magic school. And of course, Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, also available for pre order. Super self explanatory for both fans of Dragons and Fizban. Super stoked about all 3 of those books. You can grab those now on the D&D Beyond Marketplace. And if you're a subscriber, a master tier subscriber, excuse me, you can also share all of that purchase content once it's been released with your friends, with your table. It's like bringing back in the day in when I was coming up as a lad, and you're the one that's stuck bringing the backpack full of stuff to your buddy's house so you guys can play. It's like that, but minus the back pain it's eventually going to give you. Hey, we've also
Yep.
got monthly perks coming. Melly, tell us about them.
Yeah, we've got our August perks are on the way. There's just, some last few things getting put together, and we've got a preview of those for you all. We're doing some frames this time around. Take a look at these. We're doing some just, what are the cool spell effects that you can have in D&D? Well, we're showing some of them off. You got a fiery one. You have sort of this like radiant, sparkly, maybe enchantment style one. It's very iridescent, which is perfect. I've got a unicorn paladin. Gonna use that for her. We have a very cool warlock, dark, twisted, necrotic frame, and then you have this really cool that could be like electricity, it could be radiant, really good for clerics, really good for wizards. This really cool blue frame. These are the static versions. There's also going to be animated versions of each one. So really, really hype. Um, these are designed by just our amazing designers. We have kind of in-house. We have also freelancers that we hire, and they do incredible work. I'm really, really excited for these to come out. We'll share, of course, we'll show from all the rooftops as soon as those are available to our subscribers for August. But get hyped about them because
Heck yes. And of course, the art on our roadmap. Um, Dungeons and Dragons 2: Wrath of the Dragon God, the sequel to the absolutely incredible original feature film Dungeons and Dragons. Man, look at that. Jeremy Irons at his absolute best. Why is that our theme today? Because these movies were a mix of good news and bad news, right? It was a great news that they were going to try to do D&D movies back in the day, it was rough sailing though. That those are the movies that we've got, which brings us to our next little bit of update. We have an update on Unearthed Arcana over at D&D Beyond. As you guys know, we have a special relationship, special history with with Unearthed Arcana, getting it out to you guys on time, getting it out to you as intended, by the game. Constant struggles that we have struggled hard, to hit and maintain, quite frankly. Which brings us to our announcement today. We're actually no longer going to be supporting Unearthed Arcana on the platform. And while we, obviously dig the shiny toys, the experimental toys that Wizards puts out, there's a bunch of factors that have kind of gone into this. One, we want to be able to make sure that we're presenting that content again the way that it's intended, and the challenge there is also delivering it in a timely manner that also doesn't put everything else that that the team is doing on complete hold, so that we can run and get this UA into you guys. One of the points of Unearthed Arcana is, it's playtest material, right? Anytime Wizards drops it, at the end of the month they have a new user survey, and that's about the time that we're finally usually ready to roll out Unearthed Arcana, which also kind of defeats the purpose as to why it exists. So I have given you the bad news on Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah, and let me
Mellie, there
just
are a couple of
answer
nice
a
silver
couple.
linings, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, the first thing is that we're not going to be pulling team members off of the work that they're doing to go and support some Unearthed Arcana that may or may not actually end up being implemented into the game. They can focus on all the stuff from books that are already out, books that are coming. So that's going to be really great, as well as new features like the ones we're going to talk about today. And hey, also, if you are currently using Unearthed Arcana on your characters, like, hey, Joe, your 15 Rabbit Folk characters, you're not going to lose those, even though we are going to be taking down Unearthed Arcana next week, next Thursday. You will still have them. They'll just be marked as archived, and you won't be able to add them to new characters. But all of your rabbit folk are safe. You will still be able to use them to play with them as much as you like. Um,
I
it
feel
also
very
means
seen and also very called out at the same time.
oh, you're so welcome, Joe. As well, hey, we have a homebrew system you are more than welcome to use to add in new Unearthed Arcana content as it's released by Wizards. Just a reminder that if you do that, don't publish it. Our homebrew rules and guidelines don't allow for you to publish stuff that you are not the original author of. However, hey, all of the private homebrew content you have is automatically shared in the campaigns that you have. So people that are in campaigns that you're in, fellow players, your friends, your DM, will be able to use the effort that you put in to do that. But again, just don't publish it because you don't own it, my friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all love Unearthed Arcana here. I definitely love it. Unfortunately, it's just, it's one of those things that there's, again, if you look at our roadmap here, there's a lot of books coming, my friends. There's a lot of cool stuff coming as well, and we're going to let the teams really focus hard on that and making those the best experiences that they can be.
Yeah, and I know that experience with UA varies for our users. Some people love it. Some people are like, I didn't know that Wizard did that. So whatever your experience is with Unearthed Arcana, we just wanted to be really clear and straightforward and transparent with you guys as to why we're not moving forward with it and our relationship with it. I think that's kind of it on UA. Mellie, hit them with this next cool thing.
Yeah, cool stuff is that this week we release Save and Resume Combat for all of our subscribers because you have alpha access to the combat tracker. You can now save and resume. So this is very important for me because I have terrible anxiety and I always fear that I'm going to close a tab by accident because I have done it many times, or refresh the page by accident because I've done it many times, or hey, I'm going to end the session early and we're in the middle of combat. Oh gosh, how do I save all of this information? And now you don't have to worry about that because it's going to automatically save all the time. And if you're like me and you're extremely anxious, there's also a save button so you can feel extremely safe about your combats. It's a very important feature. It's one that the team, has been really passionate about getting out there because it is such an important part of this. I'm very excited about that. Give it a try. And hey, Joe, we got a cool anniversary celebration coming, don't we?
We do, and yeah, stoked about Save and Resume. If you want a little more information on that, we demoed it last week, I think. No, 2 weeks ago. We demoed Save Resume Combat. But yeah, we have our anniversary week coming up. Our sweet little baby, D&D Beyond, turning 4 years old. Very excited. So the week of August 16th, for the entire week, we're going to be doing a ton of anniversary-themed programming. I will dig a little deeper into that next week with you guys. But for broad strokes, 2 things are happening every day. At noon Pacific time, we will be doing a dev update and demo every day. And then at 2 o'clock specific time, specifically at 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock Pacific time, we will be playing a charity game supporting Jasper's Game Day and Stack Up. Which is I'm super excited about. Stack Up. You guys know Jaspers. We've had Fenway on. Stack Up is a suicide prevention group specifically focused on helping our veterans through gaming, whether that be video games, whether that be tabletop. And actually, in my former life with Screen Junkies on Honest Trailers, we worked with Stack Up. They're old friends of ours, and then completely separate of that in the wild, Jaspers and Stack Up met and started partnering, and I couldn't be happier about that. So noon every day, Monday through Friday, the week of August the 16th, we'll be doing a different dev update and demo. And then every day at 2, we're playing a different charity game to benefit Jaspers and Stack Up. There are going to be contests, there's going to be giveaways, there's going to be announcements, there's going to be special guests, all sorts of really cool stuff coming. And we actually just confirmed our complete lineup for Monday, so I will actually share that game with you guys because I'm pretty excited about it. It's our birthday. It's time for a little retrospective. It's time for a little looking back. It's time for a little looking forward. So kicking off the week, our own Amy Dallen will be DMing for myself, for Michael Galvis, for Mellie here. And we're going to be joined by some old friends. B-Dave will be joining us. Jen's going to be joining us. And then, of course, old Adam Bradford is going to be stopping by to roll some dice with us. So we're super stoked about that. It's always really cool to see old friends, especially when it's for a really good cause. So super excited about that. You guys will be getting a ton more information about our anniversary week next week. So super stoked about that. But before we get to those guests, we also have some very awesome guests to talk inventory management and containers here. Mellie, you want to bring them up? Do the honors?
Yeah, for sure. So today we are welcoming 2 incredible members of our team who've been working really hard on containers. So we've got Pat Backmann, who's a product manager here at D&D Beyond. And we are also welcoming... Why did my brain just stop working, Joe? Please save my life.
Sam's here. Sam Hilson's here.
Thank you, Sam. Oh my gosh. I was just like, I know that you've got a name really similar to a Marvel character, but my brain is just not giving me the answer. Thank you. Hi, Sam, who's also been working incredibly hard on the containers, and they're going to show us how it all works and then answer some questions for you all. Welcome, both of you, to the dev update.
Thank you.
Thanks. Always a good time here.
Anyway, good talk.
Bye, guys.
Pat, Sam, this has been like one of a hugely requested thing from our users since maybe the dawn of time. Since even before Gygax spoke the game into existence, our users somehow also wanted containers and this kind of level of inventory management. So really, the floor is yours, y'all. You guys have been working your butts off on this, and show it off. Take that lap.
Yeah, so before we show it off, we're actually going to ask Mellie to show it off. But just to kick off the whole concept of it, We've gathered a whole bunch of insights from you all, so thank you so much. Some of you are going to see things that aren't available that you've recommended in here, but some of you will see some things that are available. And mind you, this is just the foundation of the work to get us to the point of that party bag of holding that everybody can glom onto and throw stuff inside of. So I'm going to shut up for a second and let Mellie do some demoing. And Sam, feel free to jump in at any given time and throw some tech spin on this stuff.
Heck yeah. I've got my Artificer open in here because they have a lot of things going on that I want to put into some containers. I immediately, when the news dropped that it was live, I went in and started organizing my inventory. Didn't finish, but I've already added a bunch of containers and started kind of grabbing some items. So immediately when I went in, because I already had a backpack, a bag of holding, and a cart in my inventory, I went in and immediately those were containers on my sheet. I didn't have to do anything. They were just there. And I just had to start putting stuff into them.
Your Artificer has like a shopping
not
cart?
on them.
Are they on Jackass?
Yes. They have they're a gnome. Of course they've got a shopping cart. And now that's canon. I'm telling my DM that that's what it is.
It's a racial trait, I think.
And then I went... Yeah, it's a racial trait for gnomes. They get shopping carts. I went in and I just started grabbing some items and putting them into bags. So I just clicked on an item, it opened the usual sidebar, and at the bottom I had a move option, and I was like, awesome, I'm going to put this into a bag of holding, and then, hey, my bag of holding is getting filled up.
One of the first important points there is that you don't have to do anything special. We've already handled making sure that all the things that are containers show up on your character sheet as a container for you immediately. So when you open your character now, if you have containers in your inventory, they're gonna break out, and they're gonna be these awesome containers that you can start adding stuff to.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And then I also
bag of holding.
Yes, because you just put so much into it. I also love that you can rename things because I need that. I need to customize. It's just a thing I desperately need. So I immediately went to the cart, which I don't have on me. My shopping cart's not with us in the dungeon. I just put a note here that it's at the tower so that I know I don't actually have anything that's in this with me. And then I was like, okay, I need to add more stuff. I need all the places that we've got available to us. How do I add a fortress or a tower? Because those aren't items. So I went in and I went to go look, what can I do for adding new containers? And I saw, oh, there's a new container option over here. Clicked it, and it just loads all of these different options that you have for containers that you could add. And I was like, oh, well, obviously there's no tower because that's not an item in D&D. I was like, well, what could I add? And I just decided I'm just grab a ship because that's kind of like a thing. So I grabbed a warboat, I think, and I was like, I'm gonna rename it Fortress.
If you put a ship on land and turn it vertical, what is it?
It's a fortress. Exactly. So I was able to just add these different things and just say, okay, cool, this is going to be my fortress, here's my tower, and now I can start adding things into all these places because we have a lot of places to put stuff in this campaign, which is amazing. Is there something that I haven't discovered yet that you guys can share with us?
I'll show you one of the features that I worked on. It's actually one of my favorite things. When you add starter packs to your equipment, so if you go search for the word pack, that'll just bring up several things that are like starting equipment. So you see burglar's pack or diplomat pack. If you add that, or if you click on the thing and expand it, you'll see there's a whole list of things there. So it will automatically put that into a container for you. So if you hit add, it'll throw it in your inventory. It'll add the container and put all of those items into the container for you. Which, like I said, I call that one out because that was one of the features that I worked on myself. So I was like,
oh, look at that.
So
it added a new backpack because that includes a backpack, and it put all of the stuff directly into it.
And I have deployed multiple times. I have deployed multiple times, and nobody has ever packed my bags for me. So you're
yeah.
I feel
so that's one of the really cool things there is that also when you're building your character, when you collect that on starter, it's going to do the same thing. Instead of it just dropping it into your equipment thing. It's going to be in the container that it was created with. So it's just a helpful organization thing, pre-organized.
I love it so much. I know there's going to be a couple questions about one thing. Oh.
So yeah, real quick, I just what people do right now, or some people do right now in a campaign, because they don't have a shared inventory, they'll create a character and they'll call that character Mule or Bag. And now what you can do, instead of having Mule have an inventory, now Mule can have multiple inventories, and then everybody could go in there and see what's going on. You still have to do the delete it from here and add it to my character sheet thing. And we're not sharing yet, but this is, like I said, the first step to getting to that shared space. And then once we get the shared space and Mule's stuck in your campaign, you'll literally be able to go to Mule's character and share out all the things to the shared inventory, and done. And then you can just delete Mule. I know that's kind of sad, but you can just delete Mule.
Bye, Mule.
Or you can start a new campaign that is all formerly Mule characters trying to find their new role in life.
They're all drug runners. Yeah. That's right.
The unemployment line for D&D characters.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have a thing that so I need to ask this because I know that chat's gonna ask this. But hey, so I like to add custom items. I'm a big fan of them. It lets me just add whatever I want. So if I go to some of these custom items here, I got a drow pen. Let's just pop that open. I don't see the ability to move that item into an inventory right now. Is that something that we have planned to do?
Yeah. I forgot to kind of mention this. I'm a back-end developer, so that's what I do. Is I do all of the back-end stuff. Our back-end team has already worked ahead of what is available on the front end. We're currently testing and working with custom items and extending those to be able to move them into containers. The front end, that's like one of their next, or not necessarily next, but very coming soon. TM, however y'all say that. Things is to
TM.
actually make it where custom items can be moved into containers. So currently, custom items can't, because they are in an entirely different place in the back end, and we're creating a system to make them work like a standard inventory item. So it's coming, but it's one of the many little things that we wanted to get this in front of people, let them start playing with it, and actually get all the feedback we could. So there's a lot of things that are currently missing. Like it doesn't do anything. Say Bag of Holdings doesn't have a weight reduction right now. Like you put stuff into it, it doesn't account for that. We have that planned. We know how to do it. It's just not one of the things we wanted to do initially. And currently you can't put currencies into containers. But that's also something we plan to do. So, this is going to be a very iterative process. This is the beginning piece of it, and we're going to focus on building out more and more of these features until we get to one of Pat's favorite things, the deletion of Mr. Mule and the D&D unemployment line.
Yeah, my two biggest things is delete Mule, and then the other one is to drop rucksack, right? So working in the military for so long, soldiers would always be overburdened, right, as they move out, and these parties or groups, adventuring groups, they move out and they're way overburdened, and they'll move slow. But then when they get into combat, they'll shed their rucksack really quick. So when you start to use the encumbrance rules, you have the big backpack on, and now you're encumbered, and all the things change, and you can't unencumber yourself very rapidly. Well, with this system, we'll be able to eventually unencumber yourself very rapidly by just dropping your ruck. And now all of a sudden, all your stats go back to happy. So now what ends up happening is, because we've made encumbrance easy to manage, more people will be able to play with encumbrance rules and not be burdened by it. So that's super exciting to me.
I love being
so
able
much.
to dramatically drop a backpack before I murk somebody. Oh, that's good.
Don't leave it there, though. Otherwise, the DM just comes in and scoops it away.
Yeah, pick it back up.
If you don't pick it back up, the DM will remember that. I also love when I go in and add a new item, I can immediately put it into a container. I don't have to add it to my inventory and then change it. So I could just be like, oh, I'm going to add a piece of amber that I picked up in this cave, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in one of these containers. That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is just,
Another
and I love the
trick
idea of
is,
this.
No, another trick is that you have tons of stuff in backpacks right now. We don't actually have like a mass delete kind of functionality until you start putting things in containers, because you can delete a container and it will remove everything in the container. So it will prompt you. So if you want to try that and sacrifice a container somewhere.
How do I do that?
She does.
Oh yeah, there we go.
The
Remove. Okay, I'm getting rid of this scholars pack that I added to test. Remove it. Remove all the contents. I do want to remove it. I'm burning this book bag.
Yeah. So although you can't, mass delete an item, like you can't just select items and delete it. You can move them all to a container and then be like, yeah, delete this container. So there is kind
make
of
a dumpster item.
Yeah, make a recycling bin. Yeah, love that. That's fantastic.
This is a great idea.
Well, hey, Mellie, I've got to assume that that chat has some burning questions for these gentlemen.
I'm sure that, and I will look in 1 second. First, I need to make one more thing.
Get away from me! I'm playing with the toys.
1 sec. This isn't my dress with pockets. I'm going to add, so now I can put some stuff in those pockets, because that is the true magic of D&D, is that the pockets can hold anything. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at some chat questions.
I feel like a real asshole.
I'm just so
like, quit playing with the dress and pockets and work. You're right.
I'm just so excited. This is amazing. And I just love that you guys are like, hey, this isn't done. We're still adding new features. We're still working on more stuff, but this is in a at a level that you guys can start using it. You can play with it. You can explore this feature and start, doing some stuff on your end, which is just amazing. There's gonna be more things going to be happening. Let's go see. There's a few things that we've already answered, like, can you bulk move items into a container? Not at this time, but you can. As we just showed, just get rid of a whole thing. While I look for a good question, I would love for Sam and Pat to give us an answer of from Animal Olympiad, which is, what is the most unusual container that you've ever had in a game?
Well, I think like most of the containers that I use are pretty standard, because I end up almost in every campaign being the bag of holding holder that I've ever been in. So
you are the mule.
That's I was telling Pat earlier, I was like, like every character I have to go organize after this, because I have 1,000 items with a note that just says BOH, 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 so it's not necessarily unusual. It's just that for some reason, every game I've ever played in, I end up being the mule. And so that was why this is one of my favorite features, is I'm like, finally, I can take my inventory and not like, because I'm holding party inventory for like 4 different campaigns. So
there's
make it so much easier.
There's an island in Final Fantasy V when you're like reuniting all of your people, and you're trying to find Gao, I think, and there's a cave, and there's these little talking treasure chests, and to get past them you have to feed them coral. And so in one of our games, we just like made a bag of holding sentient, and it always wanted to be fed items. But then the trick was there was like a certain kind of like rock that it had to eat if you were going to get anything back from it. So it was always like a weird challenge of managing how much of that mineral that everyone had and stuff like that. And eventually, I think they abandoned that poor bag of holding. It got sent to a rescue. Unfortunately, more trouble than it was worth.
It went to the farm.
I like the idea, though. Yeah. At first, everyone was like, "Oh, great, talking bag of holding," and then it was a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Monty Hall 10 is asking, can you put containers inside containers?
Not
yet.
Hey,
so exhibit is going to be
breaking that down is what that sounds like.
Not ... very small yet. Um, and you know, I'm going to give it back to Sam because it's not because it's not cool. It's because technologically it gets really weird. And I'll let Sam talk about that in a second. But
Well,
there is some potential to put a container in a container and then it just doesn't show all the things in it until you take it out. And then my biggest desire for the container in the container is to take a bag of holding and put it in a haversack, and then your character sheet gets deleted, and then you have to call help desk to get it reinstated. That's what I want to see happen. I want it to be like
Pat,
this
I am
very
already
evil Easter egg.
hearing. I'm hearing Joel and Amber from support. They're calling in and they're saying, "Stop Pat now, please. Stop him before he ruins our lives."
Yeah, I love that.
However, I do love the idea of something happening to your character sheet if you do that. That does sound pretty delightful.
yeah. The technical aspect of all of that is that it gets recursive. So, you know, like, most people don't necessarily, if you're not a developer, you won't know that the word recursion is like a curse word. Like, you know, when you say recursion, people are like, oh, I didn't know you knew such foul language, you know? So for us to continue stacking containers within containers, you know, how deep can that hole go? So if we allow it, we have to still limit it. So we're like, okay, you can put a container in a container. What does that look like? What if that container has a container in it? How do we limit that? You know, and so it gets to the point where you're like, you know, what happens if we have container within container within container within container within container within container? I can't even keep saying it, you know, and yeah. So we, for now, we tested with maybe going one layer deep, and we were like, it might be cool, but we were like, for now, we're definitely only going, you know, put items in containers, and we're going to look at containers within containers and decide how we want to deal with that, because it's a much deeper issue, without a pun even intended.
Well, yeah, especially when we see people in chat asking, you know, before you even mentioned it, Pat, people were asking in chat, like, what happens when you put a bag of holding in a bag of holding? What happens when, you know, you put these, because there are
Yeah,
rules for that in the game, right?
there
So
are
it's
rules.
like, do we just,
Yeah,
you know, do we
Yeah, we
consider that
delete your
as we're building
character.
this, or do we not? Like, that's all those things that make building
I'd
it
love
that
it
much
to
more
be just like
complicated.
literally your character sheet turns into one of those like 1970s televisions and just goes, and it's just that little white dot.
Because Egon, you specifically said crossing the streams was bad, and now you're telling us to cross the streams. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's so great. Uh, we've also got a question here from Raven DeMarco, which is asking, can we create custom containers? So what I've showed off so far is that, hey, you can go and you can rename one of the containers we've already created and rename it to kind of whatever you'd like to name it. So I've got a fortress, which is actually a warship. I've got a basket, which is a dress with pockets. Are there plans for people to be able to just create their own original containers?
We've discussed that, and it is something that we do plan to try to support at some point. Basically, you know, we'll extend the custom item interface at some point to be able to do things like, you know, like, hey, just make a custom item that is a container. But you know, once again, you know, like a lot of this is in layers. We were like, those are things that we don't need to release this and get it in front of people, but there are things that, you know, our heart desire wants to see happen. So, because, you know, I'm a stickler for details. If I create a container and it has a description and then I rename it tower and I open it and see the description and it doesn't say this is your tower container, I'm like, you know, it kind of breaks the immersion for me just a little. So, you know, we're the same way. We do want to see those things, and I believe we have plans to make it happen.
Love it.
Second that.
Excellent. You know, a lot of these questions we were able to already answer, and there's other questions in here that are for other teams. So I think just to tell chat, like there are questions, you know, about the combat tracker and about game log and those sorts of things. And hey, bring those questions back another time because we'll bring on team members that will have the expert answers for you. But I think, hey,
Hey, Mellie.
first, yeah.
You did say game log. So one of the things that's going to be part of this shared container space and sharing items from one character to the other is incorporating the game log to tell the story of that it actually happened, right? So
cool.
Now that we have the foundation, if my character goes and puts something in our shared bag, there'll be some type of notification in the game log that everybody's aware that happened or stole it out of the bag, right?
Yeah. Or, even
Those
just that,
rogues are
hey, I'm
getting
using
so
my
happy.
bonus action to throw somebody a potion or something like that. That's awesome. I love that.
Yep.
Oh man, I'm super excited because that's the conversation we have at our table all the time. Is like, I'm gonna use this thing. It's like, whoa, that's mine. It's like, but you gave it to me, but no, I took it back, and then it's a whole thing. So I'm super duper excited about all of that. We also have some questions. Hey, like, do equippers hold arrows? Yes, that is one of the options you have for containers. Go check it out. And I think
Yeah, I
Sam,
think we got
this is
time
your
for like
first time on
one
the dev
big
update.
finish, Mellie.
Well, I don't have a big finish, but Sam's never been on the dev update before. And so Mecha
Let's do
Moogle
it.
needs to know what Sam's favorite dinosaur is.
All right. I'm super basic. All right. I have a fantasy of riding a velociraptor like a cowboy. Like that's I want to throw a saddle on a velociraptor and just ride him away. That's so like
I mean,
they've always just been my favorite. They're so lethal and dangerous looking from all the movies you ever see them in. So like I know it's like the most generic of choices, but I love them, and I love that when they're betrayed in whatever, that they're almost betrayed like cats too, because cats are my favorite creature. So it's basically a dinosaur cat that you could ride and is like lethal, and
I mean, it sounds like you need to play a halfling in Eberron because that's their thing, right?
Yeah.
That they ride velociraptors into battle.
Yeah.
We're gonna play that game, Sam.
Before we got on the dev update, I said, be prepared to answer this question. And he sent me a picture of Ronald Reagan with a shotgun and an American flag riding a velociraptor.
I've seen
I'm running this game. Please prepare your saddlebags with whatever they're going to contain because I'm running this. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, I'm stoked to see it. Hey, appreciate you guys coming on. I know that you guys have a ton of work to do, and I feel like kind of sometimes we drag you away from it. And so I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mellie, of course, the gosh dang beating heart of this whole organization. And thank you guys so much, honestly, for being here, for being a part of this, for being a part of our community. As always, if your response to this is like, I mean, it all looks cool, I have no one to play this game with, you absolutely do. Head to our Discord, head to our forums. There's always people looking to put together games. D&D is for everybody. You deserve that game of D&D, so please head to our Discord and find it. And anniversary week on the 16th, and we'll see you next time on the dev update. And later today, Amy Dallen will be talking with a DM named Sly Flourish to chat about his DM tips. So super stoked about that. We'll see you guys later. Take care of each other. Be safe. Bye.
It's D&D.